This week on Down to Earth, millions of genetically modified mosquitoes let loose in Brazil. Engineered insects that could save human lives.
What we're trying to do is basically get rid of the mosquito that spreads dengue.
A high-tech solution against a crippling tropical disease. An army of mosquitoes bred with an inbuilt killer gene.
They eat a lot, they like the blood. They are hungry.
Brazil is no stranger to biotech food, but exposing the population to modified animals is something entirely new.
They need to inform us. We're being used as guinea pigs.
Faz a diferença. Projeto Aedes transgênico, esse faz a diferença.
This week we're down to earth in Brazil. In just a few minutes, thousands of genetically modified mosquitoes will be unleashed across Jacobina. These nets hold what can only be described as an army of insects capable of destroying their own species. This morning is a celebration of sorts. Genetically modified mosquitoes are making their debut in this northeast corner of Brazilian upcountry. An everyday enemy transformed into a potential friend. At the same time, the real work has just begun. Here, a loudspeaker sings the praises of the technology, while Marcos does the rest.
I'm releasing the genetically modified mosquitoes that will fight dengue here in Jacobina. The wind will spread them in all different directions. Like you can see, there are a lot, but they don't bite.
Today is considered a small release, only 50,000 mosquitoes. The plan is to ramp it up to 4 million per week. Marcos is also charged with explaining this unusual project to the locals.
These mosquitoes bring us nothing but happiness.
It's a good thing. We won't be sick or have a fever or headache.
The GM mosquitoes are going to eat the other mosquitoes which transmit dengue fever, and then they won't be able to kill us.
In fact, no mosquitoes are being eaten in this project. Scientists have added a gene which causes offspring to self-destruct. Eventually, if enough GM mosquitoes breed with wild ones, the species will disappear. It's led by British firm Oxitec with Hayden Parry at its head. The biotech entrepreneur prefers we don't call his product a mutant.
Well, it's not actually a mutant, actually, to be fair. It's a mosquito which has had a genetic change. And a mutant is something very different. A mutant gives you an idea of being out of control, whereas actually this is very, very controlled. But also bear in mind that this mosquito is an invasive species. It shouldn't be here. In Brazil in 1976 said they had not got this mosquito anywhere in the country, and now it's everywhere.
The dengue mosquito, as its name suggests, transmits dengue fever, the world's fastest spreading tropical disease. Today, Brazil is suffering an epidemic. More than 600,000 cases in the first 3 months of this year alone. Potentially fatal, it's also known as break-bone fever for the intense pain it brings to muscles and joints. Bruno has just arrived, displaying the typical symptoms.
At home, I had pain all over my body, fever, a headache. Here, just behind my eye.
In the winter period, the number decreases, but from February to April, 90% of the cases we see here are dengue. We had a patient that was very dehydrated and feverish. He arrived in the hospital and died the same day.
For the moment, dengue fever has no treatment and no vaccine. Brazil spends nearly 800 million euros each year on control programs, such as education and insecticides, which for the large part don't work. The authorities are open to new solutions, even ones that seem extreme.
Of course, because we're the first in the world, it does make us a bit frightened. But at the same time, it gives us hope that everything will work out and we'll manage to eradicate dengue fever. We believe the benefits outweigh the risks.
We leave Jacobina for a city 3 hours further north. Juazeiro, home to the highly secure mosquitoes, a Brazilian counterpart which buys the eggs from Oxitec and then breeds these engineered mosquitoes en masse.
I am going to show you the largest breeding site for the mosquitoes.
And this is a mosquito factory.
This is a mosquito factory. This is the good environment for breeding the mosquitoes. It's hot, it's humid.
These are perhaps the most privileged mosquitoes in the world. They may be in a confined space, but all of their needs are well met. So what do these mosquitoes eat?
They eat animal blood. And we disguise the animal blood. We use the membrane and we pass through our bodies to them to smell the human odors. And then we disguise the animal blood with human odor.
So you're trying to trick them into believing that you're feeding them human blood?
Yes, this is the tricky thing.
This species, Aedes aegypti, has been transformed into a suicide bomber. Here a killer gene is inserted into the mosquito eggs, one which makes them dependent on an antibiotic known as tetracycline to develop into adults. In the lab, the life-saving drug is in high supply. But once the mosquitoes are released into nature, they pass on the gene to their offspring, who too need the medication to survive. When they can't find it in the wild, they die. Not every mosquito bred here is released. You might even call this lab sexist.
This side of the facility is how we separate the females from males mosquitoes.
And what are you interested in?
Just the males, because the males is the one form that we release.
The reason males are released is because they don't bite. All of the GM females are supposed to be killed in the lab, but every now and then one slips through. Which means that a genetically modified mosquito could bite someone out there?
Yeah, but there's no difference. It's like this gene, because they just killed the larvae, is not producing saliva, or the saliva is totally wild mosquitoes. You don't have any contamination.
So there's no danger?
No dangers.
It's here in the industrial city of Juazeiro where the Brazilian scientists first tried their luck. Margaret leads us to the neighbourhood of Itaberaba, within walking distance from the mosquito factory.
This was the first release that we did, and we released 3 times per week during almost 2 years. In total, 17 million males was released, and we got 85% of reduction.
So you're saying that you've reduced the wild population by 85%?
Yes.
Is that a success?
I think so. I think it's very successful. And when you reduce the wild population, you can reduce the transmission of the disease. Oh, I don't need a huge.
The results were measured using dozens of traps set up strategically in locals' backyards.
Obrigada. This is the trap that we use for collecting eggs and do the monitoring that we need. Okay, we have like just water, clean water, and then this is the place, the place that the mosquitoes like to lay eggs. This technology is reversible because when you stop to treat the area, the mosquitoes come back, the wild mosquitoes come back, and then it's no problem. You can stop the experiment anytime that you want. Então, tchau, obrigada.
For the moment, no scientific journal has published the results put forward by Oxitec and Moscamed. In the meantime, the British company has patented the technology in all countries at risk of dengue. If this should work on a large scale, the financial interests are enormous. GM mosquitoes work like an insecticide. They need to be released year after year, and only one company controls the production. Not everyone, however, is convinced of the mosquito's benefits. In another neighbourhood of Juazeiro, Yuri, Diego and Lorena have come to warn locals of the project taking place in their city.
We think genetically modified mosquitoes are dangerous for the population because there isn't a single study that proves they're safe for humans or the environment. As well as that, the technology has been developed without informing the population.
Genetically modified foods are commonplace in Brazil. Animals, on the other hand, are something new.
There's a technique which involves releasing genetically modified mosquitoes, transgenic mosquitoes. Do you know about it?
No, not at all. I've never heard of it. They need to inform us. We're being used like guinea pigs. They have to tell us so we know. We have absolutely no idea how it all works.
Oxytech has applied to release mosquitoes in other places around the world, most recently in Florida and the United States. Opponents there have already rallied to bring that project to a halt. But the promise of the technology is powerful. Scientists are already talking of eliminating another mosquito, that which spreads malaria.